In the intervening night of May 6th and 7th, 2025, a historic and world's biggest air battle after World War II took place between India and Pakistan that changed the very character of conventional warfare between the two atomic powers. A report was published by Reuters detailing what happened during the one-hour air battle that day and how the Pakistan Air Force shot down state-of-the-art Rafale jets. We'll share it with you using animations, so make sure to watch the video till the end. 3 characteristics of this war were completely new. One is that for the first time, the professional air forces of two atomic powers were face-to-face with killing intentions. Otherwise, in the last 4 decades, only very powerful air forces were attacking a very weak enemy like Syria, Iraq, Libya, Lebanon, etc. But in this one-hour war between Pakistan and India, more than 100 aircraft were in action. In this battle, for the first time in history, the radar, the electronic and cyber warfare expertise of two professional armies was to be tested. This war was different because it wasn't a normal dogfight. Instead of facing each other up close, the jets fired beyond visual range missiles from hundreds of kilometers away, using advanced radar and electronic warfare to track and strike targets. This operation was named Operation Sindoor by India. According to him, the purpose of this operation was to respond to the Pahalgam terrorist attack of April 22nd by targeting the bases in Pakistan from where the Pahalgam attack was planned. Although the fact was that India was unable to provide proof to any country in the whole world that the tragedy of Pahalgam was somehow linked to Pakistan. In the defeat of the short battle of 2019, the destruction of 1 MiG-21 and 1 Su-30 MKI aircraft, along with the capture of a pilot, was still fresh in the Indian mind. So Operation Sindoor was actually a mission to restore honor or settle the score. Friends, the Indian Air Force activated all its bases for this war, stretching from the Arabian Sea in the south to Kashmir in the north. In other words, the entire eastern border of Pakistan was covered. These included Srinagar, Awantapora, Ambala, Bathinda, Suratgarh, Bikaner, Jodhpur, Uttarlai, Bhuj, and Nalia air bases. Operation Sindoor was to be led by French Rafales flying from Bathinda. Along with these, Mirage 2000, Sukhoi 30, and MiG-29 jets were also participating in large numbers. Some Jaguar aircraft were included in supporting roles. AWACS aircraft were also in the air to guide the jets. The Indian planes were further supported by the Russian-made S-400 air defense system. One unit of this system was installed at Adampur in Indian Punjab, and another at Bhuj Air Base in Gujarat. These systems, with a defense range of 400 kilometers, were capable of detecting and shooting down aircraft deep into Pakistani airspace. Between May 6th and 7th, just after midnight, the Indian planes received orders to attack Pakistan. A total of 72 fighter jets began taking off from 10 Indian air bases. Once airborne, these planes spread out in various formations from Rajasthan to occupied Kashmir. The top formation of these aircraft consisted of Rafale jets and was named Godzilla by the Indian Air Force. While Indian jets were taking off, Pakistan's control centers were watching their movements live on screens. Border radars and systems were giving real-time updates. Pakistan was already on high alert after the April 22nd Pahalgam attack, as Indian leaders were making threats. Pakistani jets were flying day and night patrols, and AWACS planes were tracking Indian aircraft. Pilots were already waiting near the runway, ready to respond quickly. For Pakistan's first response, 5 forward air bases, Balari, Shabaz, Rafiki, Mushaf, Minhas, and Peshawar, were kept ready. Dozens of other planes were on alert at backup air bases. On the night of May 6th to 7th, as soon as Pakistan Air Force HQ saw a major Indian attack coming, it gave flight orders. Within 2 minutes, Pakistan launched its response. In just a few minutes, 42 jets were in the air. Leading the charge were Chinese-made J-10C jets flown by No. 15 Squadron Cobras from Minhas Air Base in Kamra. Another 24 jets, including JF-17 Block 3 and Mirage, supported the J-10Cs. Probably a few F-16s were also part of this fight. But at the front, there were only J-10C and JF-17 Thunders. Pakistani planes were also supported by early warnings, AWACS planes, and air defenses on the ground. By 1 o'clock in the night, the planes of both Pakistan and India had come face-to-face across the border. Combined with AWACS and other supporting aircraft on both sides, there were from 115 to 125 jets. No pilot on either side could see enemy jets. Only small dots on radar screens showed their location. Pilots had to track and hit these dots. It was a new kind of war, unseen and high-tech, unlike anything before. In this war, Indian pilots were ordered not to enter Pakistani airspace under any circumstances. There were two reasons for this. The first reason was that India didn't want to repeat the 2019 incident, where Pakistan's jammers disrupted Indian pilot Abhinandan's fighter jet, brought it into Pakistani territory, shot it down, and captured the pilot. This time, India didn't make that mistake. Well, the second reason for the Indian jets staying in their airspace was that the PAF had the PL-15 missile. The IAF estimated that these Pakistani missiles have a range of just 145 kilometers. Therefore, it was necessary for the Indian planes to stay at least 150 kilometers behind the Pakistani border so that they could not be targeted within this range. But surprisingly, the intelligence of the Indian Air Force was not correct, because the range of the PL-15 missile was not 145 but above then 250 kilometers. It was a colossal strategic blunder, which cost the Indian leadership both militarily and politically. The Indian Air Force has also admitted to this intelligence failure. You can read about it in this Reuters report. Friends, the long-range French missiles installed in Indian aircraft were Meteor. Their maximum range was up to 150 kilometers, and this was an open secret, and the Pakistan Air Force knew it well. Since Pakistan could see the position of the Indian jets precisely in its command and control centers, it maintained this distance in its airspace from the Indian jets. And in this, the PAF had a subtle strategic advantage of 50 to 100 kilometers, which Pakistan could fully exploit. Then the Pakistani forces were ordered not to respond until India attacked, so that India could be termed the aggressor. At 1 a.m. in the night, the Indian forces attacked. In this attack, a French cruise missile was used, and 9 points in Pakistan were targeted. These points were around Bahawalpur, Muridke, Sialkot, Shakargarh, Kotli, and Muzaffarabad. At least 31 civilians, including innocent children and women, were killed in these attacks. Several mosques and their attached family quarters were destroyed. When the Indian Army launched an aggressive attack on Pakistan's sovereign territory, now Pakistan has a legal justification for retaliation according to international law. The historic war of beyond visual range missiles had begun. Friends, the first step to hitting any aircraft in modern warfare is to lock onto it. And when a fighter jet gets locked on, it has to perform maneuvers to break the lock. This means the fighter jet has to move sharply up and down at high speed. And in this game, Pakistan had the advantage first, due to the PL-15 missile, and second, because it also had an edge in electronic and cyber warfare. First, to confuse the enemy aircraft, a missile was fired, without locking onto any jet, into the formation of the Indian warplanes. Pakistan used a smart trick called RAPPI to scare Indian fighter jets without directly hitting them. First, a PL-15 missile was fired near the Punjab border into a group of Indian warplanes, but it wasn't locked onto any one jet. This kind of missile confuses pilots because they see it coming but don't know which plane it's targeting. Everyone thinks someone else is the target. When the missile reaches a certain point, it explodes in the air, causing panic. Pilots start talking to each other on the radio, and the stronger Air Force can listen in to gather useful information. According to the Pakistan Air Force, at least one Indian jet was damaged by debris from the explosion, but this has not been confirmed. What is confirmed is that no Indian aircraft was destroyed in this attack. After that, Pakistan began to rapidly lock onto Indian aircraft across the line of control. On the other hand, the Indian planes were also trying to lock the Pakistani planes, but were unable to do so due to repeated electronic disruption. There was a visible mismatch between the Pakistan and India EV electronic warfare in which Pakistan had a clear superiority. Pakistan continuously disrupted Indian radars and non-verbal communications during this 1-hour war, and this quality was not in Indian estimation. While the Indian aircraft could not lock and hit a single Pakistani fighter in the entire battle, the Pakistani Air Force locked several aircraft, of which the technical evidence of 7 was also shown in the press conference on May 9th. The PAF fired PL-15 missiles at 7 Indian jets from the J-10C aircraft, including the French Super Hit Rafale aircraft. This landmark aircraft of the 4th.5 generation is the best fighter jet in the world, and it detects incoming attacks with its radar system. Pakistan's fighter jets launched the PL-15 missiles against Indian Air Force Rafales with their radars turned off. This was done because if the radars had been on, the Rafales could have detected the incoming PL-15s. The PL-15 is also a radar-guided beyond visual range missile. Just as a BVR missile locks onto the radar signals of an enemy aircraft, modern fighter jets are also equipped with missile approach warning systems that can detect incoming BVR missiles. However, in this one-hour conflict, the PL-15 missiles launched by Pakistan had their onboard radar seekers turned off during the initial phase. As the missiles approached the Indian fighters around 30 kilometers away, the Pakistani AWACS flying in the rear activated the seekers of the PL-15s from long range. Because this happened so close to the Indian jets, the Indian pilots didn't get enough time to react or understand what was happening. The PL-15s successfully hit their targets. This worked because the PL-15 travels at speeds over Mach 4, making it extremely difficult to evade once it's close. So the pilots had no time for any maneuvers. The only option left was to pull over and jump from the ejection seat. That means save your life with the automatic parachute system or make a last-ditch effort to save the plane in the last 30 seconds in which your own life could be at stake. Indian Air Force is a brave and professional army, so we cannot say how many pilots did the ejection pull and how many attempted the maneuver. But we don't know how many Indian pilots lost their lives in this one-hour fight, because the Indian officials did not clarify their losses. But according to the PAF, they had electronic evidence of at least 6 Indian planes being destroyed when they were hit. While the 7th plane was apparently hit, its destruction could not be confirmed by ground intelligence. Therefore, the Pakistan Air Force does not claim the destruction of the 7th Indian aircraft. The 6 aircraft that PAF takes credit for downing include 3 Rafales, 1 Mirage 2000, 1 Sukhoi 30, and 1 MiG-29. At least 4 of these planes crashed in Indian-administrated Kashmir and 1 in Bathinda, Indian Punjab. That is, near the same base from which the Rafale jets of the Godzilla formation took off. An important proof of the destruction of the Rafale was given by the Pakistan Air Force in a press conference. The PAF played a conversation between the ground radar and the wingman of the 4th Rafale of the Godzilla formation, in which the wingman was asking that I was not able to contact my 3rd aircraft and that I had also seen an explosion in the air. The encounter between the 2 air forces continued for more than an hour. Meanwhile, the Indian aircraft could not fire a single missile at the Pakistani jets. Their radars and communications were also getting jammed repeatedly. After India had lost at least 6 aircraft, the Pakistan Air Force began to disengage gradually as part of a strategy. That is, it allowed the enemy aircraft to move out of the target range. This is actually the best tactic to keep escalation control in your hands to give the enemy a way back. All mature militaries use this tactic to prevent a war from spiraling out of control and becoming a war of egos. Each army gives the other a way back to avoid a perpetual war. So Pakistan Air Force stopped locking Indian planes and disrupting communications. The Indian Air Force used this safe passage and started grounding aircraft at the bases. Pakistan Air Force planes also returned to their bases. Meanwhile, Pakistan's air superiority was proven as India had returned after losing 6 aircraft, while Pakistan's aircraft was not hit. In the one-hour battle, complete air dominance was with the Pakistan Air Force. Indian jets, far from hitting Pakistani jets, could not even fire a single missile. In this fight, not only India, but also the French company that manufactures the Rafale aircraft was at a considerable loss. Because the Rafale had never had a hit in history until now, that was its biggest marketing strength, and it was selling a lot. So friends, this was a brief analysis of the one-hour war, which has been confirmed by many international media outlets. Now, a detailed report by Reuters has also been released, which we have presented to you. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thank you. That's all for today's update. Please subscribe and like this video.